Hey, 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 sis. Welcome to the Sister Circle. This is our second Sister Circle, and I am excited to talk about our topic today. I'm excited just to explore it a little bit. It was inspired by me reading This Could Be Us. There we go. This Could Be Us. I'm very late to the Kennedy Ryan party. I don't know if any of you have read Kennedy Ryan, but this Could Be Us is the second installment in her Skyland series. I finished the whole Skyland series, I think, within the span of 2 months. Like I finished all three books. It was that good, but this book is literally my favorite one. And it inspired what I want to talk about today. So I'm not going to tell you about the book. What I'm going to tell you is simply that it was a beautiful story of resilience. It was a beautiful story of how everything works together. It was a beautiful story of um just like picking yourself back up again. That's like resilience, but picking yourself back up after betrayal, trying to figure everything out. So it made me start to think about my story, and I was just like, I gotta talk about this because I feel like somebody may need it. I know I need it, and after the day I had yesterday, I need it a little bit more. But I just want you to think about this. If I was to say your story is beautiful, what is the first thought that comes into your mind? For me, it's no, it's not. But that's because in my head, I envisioned what my life would look like. I planned for whatever I envisioned. And because it didn't look like that, because it wasn't perfect or things didn't happen to the T, I don't look at my story like it's beautiful. But it is because nothing is wasted in our stories. Everything works together and everything works itself out. What I realized is that, like any good book, you have to have plot twists. You have to have, you know, failures. You have to have heartbreak. You have to have, things happen to make a good book. I just started reading again. I love reading as a kid, and I just started getting back into it postpartum. And like I said, I read this series like in 2 months, I think it was, but I'm on my third book already for this year. The first book in this installment I read and finished last year, but the other two I finished within a month. And then I finished another book like last week. So, and I'll be starting another book probably sometime next week, but which is unheard of. I haven't read this much, I don't know, probably since I was a kid. Okay. And I thought about books and I thought about what draws me in for a book. Now, I love rom-coms. And that's movies and stuff too. I just love love. So, like, I love books that, surround relationships. I love books that surround, um, just different things. So, did have a love story, but outside of that, it had themes of friendship, like I said, resilience, picking yourself back up. But what I noticed is that what made this book good was that it was not straightforward. It was not perfect. It was messy. And that's the point that I want to get to is that our lives are messy. They make for a good book, okay? Yes, we want things to be perfect. Yes, we want things to always go as planned, but in reality, that's not realistic. Life is going to life. Life is going to do what it was designed to do, and some things are out of our control. And it made me just think, even though right now I don't feel like my story is beautiful because of all the things that happened that I did not plan for, it really is because I wonder if I wrote my story down and somebody read it as a book, I guarantee you they'd be drawn in. I guarantee you that they would see resilience. I guarantee you that they will be feel related, like feel like it's relatable. Like I feel like we have to stop looking at our lives through the lens of perfection and look at our lives for what it is. It's messy, it's beautiful, it's a learning experience. A lot of times we're learning as we go, okay? We don't have to have it all figured out. And I'm saying this to you, but I'm also saying it to myself because, like I said, this book really just drew me in because it was like, wow, the main character overcame so much, and it was stuff that I could relate to in certain ways, but she overcame so much and she did it with her head held high, okay? Where she could have, wallowed in wherever she was at, she allowed her story to unfold in a beautiful manner. She didn't try to control her story. She just figured it out as she went. And I love that because it encouraged me to just be like, you know what? You need to do the same. And like I said, I think that if we look at our lives from that of maybe like a reader or in terms of a book, or even if you don't read books, because not everybody reads books, that's not everybody's thing. Think of your favorite show, your favorite movie. What draws you into that? A lot of times we're drawn because it's messy, right? Or, the main character has to solve some type of problem or they have to overcome some type of thing. Look at your life the same way, sis, and think about how you can be encouraged in your story. And if you can use your story, to encourage somebody else. And that's what this community is about. Like, it's about knowing that you got this regardless of what is going on around you, knowing that your pain is not forever, the season you're in is not forever, but it's also up to you to change your perspective in your mind. But you have this, you got this, you are resilient, um you are messy. Okay, our lives are messy, and I mean it in that way, not messy as in like, how we think of messy, but I mean your life is messy. It doesn't have to be perfect, but it makes for a good life. And I just want to leave you with that today. Again, I think going forward, I'm just going to do these monthly recordings because maybe it's hard for some of you to get on at 10 a.m. on a Saturday. Maybe some of you want your weekend after working hard, and I get that. I understand that. Um, but having a new kid who is 8 months and very active in the morning is the best time that I can do this. So, I would love to converse about some of the topics that I talk about in these and really just get your perspective and point of view. But again, I think going forward for next month, we're just going to do a recorded video that's going to drop on a Saturday. And I think we'll just do it monthly, hopefully with, you know, the hopes of one day and being able to chat because I don't know everything. My experiences may be different from yours. They may be the same, but you might have learned something different. So, sis, until next time, remember you got this. Know that your story is messy, but it's beautiful. And just try to look at your story from the point of a reader and that, your story makes for a good book. And that's what I'll leave you with. Your story is beautiful. I hope you have a good weekend. I hope that that resonated with you. And until next time, sis, remember, you got this. See you next time.